And we are live with my man, the myth, the legend, Chris Stuart, aka Stu. Good to have you on the show, man.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, brother. You make me feel so awesome every time I'm around you, man. You got an infectious energy and just an incredible quality about you.
Hey, I'm honored to be a conduit of divine love.
I love it.
That's my cause. So
that's great.
We're going to talk about a number of topics today, but just to give you guys a little bit of an intro as to why we are able to have this caliber of talent in our little old office here in Corvallis, it's because of collaboration and partnership. And so right back at you in terms of gratitude, I had the chance to see you on Friday, talk to a bunch of fellow place partners down at a mastermind in Arizona. And you rocked it, man. I don't know how you pulled it off with, it seemed like limited prep too, huh?
Yeah. Just, I was inspired by that talk from a conference that I went to the week before.
Yeah.
Just inspired by a couple of presenters and just like, just put that together. I feel like if you're really focused on the audience and that audience being our place operators, our place partners, it's almost hard to miss because there's just such a friendship in that room. Yeah. And I feel like for the most part, everyone's in there just trying to get better. Everyone's just so humble and gracious. So it's almost hard to miss because of the audience. Yeah. But yeah, there was some fun nuggets of content in there for sure.
Well, we're going to get into that in a moment. But on the note of winging it, I mean, we have basically zero prep going into this.
That's right.
We have some audience members waiting in behind the scenes. Little shout out to our door office team. Hey guys in the room next door. They're like, oh, why are you putting us live, Tim? Don't worry, I'll pop you off. So we've got some folks waiting behind the scenes that are ready to ask some questions live, of which you've got not getting any prep on.
That's right.
So in the spirit of real estate, which is build the bridge as you walk over it, that's what we're going to do today. And I want to talk about building bridges and specifically, some of the evolution and leadership that you brought up last week, how you talked about tuning in instinct. And one specific takeaway that was personal gain versus personnel aim. That has really stuck with me.
Oh, I love that.
And I think the way you unpack that is a really timely message for where we're at right now as an industry, as a country. There is a deep need for loving leadership. Yeah. And that's what I put out there on the theme, posted out on socials all over for wherever you guys are tuning in. We've got Vlad Meltzer here from Hillsboro. We've got Cielo that came down from Beaverton, Hillsboro area. Christina in the office next door drove up around Grants Pass. Aaron came over from Central Oregon. Kylie came over from Vancouver with side. So we've got people either physically here from all over and then streaming in from all over. And if you guys, as you're watching this, if you have a question that you want to ask our man Stu here, about anything related to real estate, working with Warren Buffett, what it's like doubling, what was 30,000 agents to 52,000 agents that you took?
16 to 55.
Oh my gosh. Who's counting? So forget about double. I think we said double. That's over triple.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we got to hear that story because we didn't even put the numbers out there, right? Sorry about that. We totally sandbagged you.
It's all good.
There's just amazing accomplishments that are part of your story. And so we're going to dive a little bit into the background of Stu, but if while we're talking, you guys have something specifically that you want to share or ask, please just put it in the comments and we'll be able to post it in just like this. There's comments from our team that are already coming through. But let's go back in time first. Yeah. What's the origin story on Chris Stuart, aka Stu?
Well, I guess it depends, Tim, on how far you want to go back. You want to go back to the childhood or the professional origin?
Let's go back to the beginning. Because there are other place partners on this call too that don't know where you came from.
Yeah, well, I'll share some of the highlights to me that really shaped who I am. So, I was born to a single mother who had me when she was 16 years old. And never met my father. And so early on, my mother was my hero and her parents were my heroes. And I spent a lot of time with them. My mom remarried when I was about almost 7 and had my sister. And her father had the same presence with her as my father had with me, which was none. Wow. So we basically grew up with the love and support and leadership of our awesome mom, who is still very close to me. Obviously, we're close in age, right? So that presents a really unique and fun friendship, as well as just mom-son relationship. In fact, I talk to her every day, and but early on, her hard work, her discipline, her courage, and then that of her parents, my grandfather and my grandmother, were really instrumental in shaping who I became as a person. And I think as a leader, some of the things that I took away were, we grew up in government subsidized apartments. And so I joke that the only holiday we didn't celebrate was Father's Day. But I only say that jokingly because none of my friends had fathers that were around either,
Wow.
And so we didn't know that we were missing anything necessarily. And our moms and our families provided a lot of love and support. And it was a great environment. But I always remember feeling a sort of sense of encouragement and leadership early on, because my mom did provide for us in a way where that meant maybe that she left $5 bill on the table during the summer months for my sister and I to go get a McDonald's or whatever, right? And when I had a few bucks in my pocket, but my buddies that I grew up with in the apartments didn't, I didn't feel right to me. It felt like that there was a role and an opportunity to encourage and lead and, do something so that we all could go to McDonald's together or the movies together. And so early on, I felt like experiences like that and whatever it was inside of me just sort of naturally moved me towards leadership.
Wow.
And I was never, the best student, nor was I the best athlete, but I did grow up playing athletics, high school football. And I was, no matter my position, I was never the quarterback. I was never the most athletic person, but I was a leader. I was always someone that carried out the coach's vision and instruction and leadership on the field. And I think it was just shaped from me early on. And a lot of that, I think, came from my grandfather, who grew up in the Great Depression. He actually lied about his age so he could join the military early, fought in World War II and the Korean War, put himself through college, had one job his whole life, one single job. He's an electrical engineer. He was the best man at my wedding. And because I had never met my father, my legal last name was my biological father's last name until I turned 18, and I changed it to my paternal grandfather's name, Stuart.
Wow.
So most of the kids that I grew up with didn't know me as Chris Stewart. I had to tell them the story once I got through college, like why the heck I changed my name. So those are some of the things that, shaped who I am today.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think that if we had to create a single word for the biggest problem that we face in our society, it's probably fatherlessness.
It's one of the biggest ones. Yeah.
And we're all about solving homelessness, but it seems like fatherlessness often precludes homelessness.
Yeah.
And so if you had to just to dive into that part of the story, for someone that finds themselves maybe without that as a part of their origin, a father, at least a biological father that was present, do you have any advice or input that you could share on how you were able to rebound from that void?
Yeah. I mean, I think that in general, and I've never been through any sort of therapy or anything like that. So I don't know exactly, and obviously I'm not in that business. So I don't mean to say anything in my own opinion that discourages or goes against any sort of ideology or whatever, but I feel like sometimes leaning into our problems all the time is not a good thing. I think we need to constantly look at the positive things in our lives. We need to find more of the positive. We need to focus on the good. We need to have an abundance mentality. And I think we need to really focus on the things that we can control.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we did. And again, if there's a benefit in talking about our problems all the time, perhaps there is. I just don't know about it. I don't know. So it wasn't a part of the way that I was raised, And so I think just living with an abundance mentality and surrounding yourself with people that think the same way, which means to be intentional about removing yourself with the people that think the opposite way was my strategy. And I think it's a good one.
Well, it was one of my big takeaways from your talk last week. I wrote on my big to-do list, go on a negativity diet. It's
Yeah.
one of my takeaways,
Yeah.
right? Thinking about all the negativity that I
Totally.
realize is
Yeah.
potential to be surrounded by. And so how did you go from, being kind of an only leader, but never necessarily a star, to then a star? Like,
Yeah.
if you had to summarize that jump.
I would say that my career is probably best summarized as being mostly focused on the service of others.
Hmm.
I really have always tried to build my career around contributing to other people, whether that was my teammates, and I'm talking about professionally, contributing to my teammates, helping them get better, contributing to my managers, my superiors, my bosses, helping them be better and look better by doing my job. And almost even over myself. Like, I've sacrificed a lot of decisions that I could have made differently if I were a more selfish person. And I think, again, it goes back to those early days. I just didn't feel right. If I had money to go to McDonald's, my buddies didn't, I just didn't go.
Yeah.
Just figure out how to get some money for them, and so I think that is really my hallmark of my whole career, is living in the service of others.
I love that.
Yeah.
Our theme for this talk today is becoming more of a loving leader.
Yeah.
Creating loving leadership.
Yep.
For those that love that idea, it looks cute on a Hallmark card. Might find it cross-stitched on your grandma's pillow somewhere, right?
Yep.
But then there's the hard reality, the long days. Like, what happens when you feel the tank is empty? Where do you go to recharge when the love dries up?
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, being intentional about being balanced, is having friends, having fun. I try to laugh every day, and I know people that I can call that make me laugh. And so I'm just intentional about just trying to find that balance. And again, not looking at my work so much as a job, but as a contribution. And whether that, again, is, contributing to my children, contributing to my marriage, contributing to my community, just all of those little points of giving just fill my cup. And so someone asked in that event on Friday, well, how do you keep from getting burned out? I associate the burnout question similarly to people that ask me, why do I still work? I work because my job isn't finished. I have so much to offer and so much to give. And by the way, almost all of what I have to offer and give is because I've failed. I've failed to do the things that I know I need to be doing. And so, because I have so much more to give, I can't imagine possibly first burning out, because I'm just giving. And when I give, I get. And so, that's how I just keep the tank full. I keep the tank full. Matter of fact, one of the things that I read in my journal, which I have right over there, if you want to talk about that.
Let's, Cielo, will you grab that, by the way?
It's in that back, that back pocket, Cielo.
We got Cielo behind the scenes here.
But one of the readings, and this is a journal that my mentor, Gino Blafari, helped me, he created, and we kind of evolved it over time. But one of the readings is The Seeds of Success by Og Mandino. And in it, one of the verses is, there is no happiness in having or receiving. There's no happiness in having or receiving, only in giving. And never will I forget how easy it is to create happiness. Wow. Because you just give.
So you've got that memorized. Can you repeat that again to our viewers right there in the camera?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you got it word.
This is my mindset and routine. It's a success journal. And again, my mentor, Gino, created this. We actually use this as part of our operational framework of building the brokerage that we sold to Berkshire Hathaway. We started doing this in 2009. And I haven't missed a single day since June 18th, 2022. Why? Because I made a commitment to other people that I would do it as a way of encouraging them to do it. And now it's just part of my identity. See, bad habits are easy to create, but it's very hard to live with the consequences of bad habits. Good habits are hard to create, but very easy to live with the consequences. And if you'll create enough repetition and routine in your good habits, it actually becomes a part of your identity. Okay. So in this journal, okay, you're talking about, your question was, how do I make sure my tank doesn't go empty? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this journal, I read the If poem by Rudyard Kipling. It's a wonderful poem that basically says, if your world gets turned upside every day and you can get up the next morning and proceed with the same energy and vigor and consistency, you own the world. That's what the If poem says. This is The Seeds of Success by Og Mandino. He wrote The Greatest Salesman in the World. And this, I'm going to reread the happiness clause that's in this, or the declaration. I will remain aware of how little it takes to make this a happy day. Never will I pursue happiness because it is not a goal, just a byproduct. And there is no happiness in having or getting, only in giving.
Man, what a word for this time.
Yeah.
Like in a culture addicted to more.
Yeah.
To the undisciplined pursuit of more, to getting more, to gaining more, to recalibrate to two things I hear in that. The power of contentment, because of how little it really requires to actually be happy, depending on what you focus on.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Or the infinitely impossible amount of things it takes to be happy, depending on what you focus on.
That's right.
Right. And to know that your happiness is going to be directly tied to what you give.
That's right.
You alluded in the talk on Friday, and you didn't dive into this, and I promised we wouldn't, talk politics, but I am a man of faith, and so I'm going to be candid around the fact that my value set is in the middle of transformation right now. The more I calibrate to my faith and revisit that, the more that shapes my life. And the further I get away from that, the further that shapes my life in a direction that doesn't serve the giving mission.
That's right.
You mentioned like a relationship without a deity or something to that effect. What element does faith play for you in energy and in giving?
Yeah. I mean, I think to the cynic of faith, I would just say that a couple of things. Once you think you know it all, your slide to mediocrity has already begun. And I think the next stop on the slide to mediocrity is just, a complete kind of breakdown, largely fueled by your belief that everything's on your shoulders, and everything isn't on your shoulders. Nothing in life, I don't believe, is meant to be felt or experienced alone. We're a very social creature by design. That's why we communicate with such sophistication compared to all the other animals in the world. Okay. And so to deny ourselves that human connection, and to recognize that human connection is born through something bigger than ourselves, I think is amiss. And so again, to the cynic of some sort of faith, regardless of what God you believe in, I think really creates an unnecessary amount of pressure, an unnecessary amount of responsibility. And I think it could be a leading cause of why we see such a rise in people on, medications and just dealing with, the rise in mental illness. And there's no silver bullet for anything. Okay. There's not one thing, but I think that it does contribute this lack of faith to people's belief that they're alone.
Yeah.
And they're just not.
Yeah.
And so I think that is part of my faith foundation, is that I'm never alone. And, I'm not going to bear anything on my shoulders that wasn't meant for me to carry. And also that it bonds me to people through that spirit of contribution that I have.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Chris. Our mission for our little real estate company, which is an extension of Places Company, which is to provide the gift of homeownership everywhere.
That's right.
We just want to solve homelessness. We frame that in a phrase of, we want to facilitate the discovery of community, legacy, and adventure through real estate everywhere. But the vision for that is we win when we solve homelessness. And I find myself challenged at this particular moment of, even as I've been working on this contract with the city of Corvallis, helping them spend money to solve homelessness locally, that we have like these two kinds of houselessness / homelessness that's occurring nationally. Homelessness of the body and homelessness of the mind.
Yeah.
A body not having a place to go and a mind not having a place to really set in and be at peace. So you touched on something I think is so critical for people that maybe have solved homelessness of the body, including all of our fellow agents out there, probably own a lot of properties.
Yep.
but still find themselves at unrest in themselves.
Yeah.
Anxious, medicating, addicted, running.
Yeah.
What would you say as a path towards solving that angst? Because I'm asking this to you, Chris, because I find you as a real person of peace that I look up to, that I'm honored to be in business with, honestly, that I'm honored to follow.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
And the common denominator I see between you and Ben Kinney and Chris Soares is you're people of peace.
Yeah.
You're at home in yourself.
Yeah.
How did you get there?
You know, I think there's a like with all elements or dynamics of our personality, it's so layered. You know, there's so many different experiences that shape us. One sort of lighthearted thing that always stands out is we had a very successful football team our junior year of high school, and we were undefeated going into the 10th game of the season. And I'll never forget our head coach, Coach Taylor, said, "Men, don't read your own press clippings." Now, this is the late 80s when newspapers, right, were the only thing that, you know, carried the news of the community around town, you know. And so press clippings were basically the photos that they were taking of us and our games and our records and all the articles they were writing about us. And that just always stuck with me. It's like, yeah, you know what are we like? We haven't done anything. We didn't win the state championship, you know, and we didn't end up doing it either. And so that was sort of an early lesson as a 17-year-old young guy that, you know, probably was way too full of myself at the point because, you know, whatever, felt like we were doing something on the football field. So that stuck with me. And I think the humility of my grandpa who grew up as a tenant cotton farmer and was so focused on getting himself out of that environment that he lied about his age to join the war. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, like I said, he was the best man at my wedding and changed my name to honor him. And so obviously growing up with that level of influence, such a humble, hardworking man, it was hard for me to ever just like be too full of myself, honestly.
Yeah.
Just never really had that. Now, I'm not saying I don't have ego or anything like that, but I mean, those experiences shaped me for sure.
So I really appreciate you sharing that. And I'm glad you talked about ego, because we know the ego is not our amigo. And yet hubris, being born of success, is the tale's oldest time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've been on this professional journey, and maybe you could bring us to that point where you find out you're the president and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices.
Yeah.
How did that happen? And what do you do to keep the pride in check after that?
Yeah. So this is a fun story because, you know, we sold the brokerage company that we built, Antero Real Estate Services. I came in, you know, along the way, joined the leadership team, and it was a great culture that we built there. And the founder and CEO and my mentor Gino and I, when we sold Antero, he and I went over to the real estate group at Berkshire, and I knew that would be my inevitable position. But what I wanted to do first was I wanted to give myself a job at the very front lines to really understand the culture of that business and understand what our value proposition and our go-to-market strategy was. So that was the first job that I held. I was just a franchise sales guy. And I did that deliberately. I wanted to learn the people, learn the organizational structure, you know, how they made decisions, what the heartbeat of it was. And over the course of about 18 months, Gino and I made some changes and, you know, took over basically leadership of that organization day to day. And then he moved up to the CEO spot for the parent company, and I moved the CEO spot for the franchise company, and took on just more and more responsibility every single year. And there again, it was one of contribution. You know what I mean? Like I knew that I would be in that role. It was just a matter of time. And I wanted to make sure that I went through every turn, every evolution of how we built the value prop, so that when I got to the CEO role, that I could really with conviction say, no, this is the best that we can provide because I helped build it.
What'd you learn working with Warren Buffett?
Wow. Well, you know, I've always been, so my degree from college is in biochemistry. So I've always been very analytical, very science oriented, but I started my career as a salesperson. I was recruited by a tech firm right out of college. And so I went right into a sales training program and have only ever been in sales. However, early on, once I kind of understood, okay, wait a minute, we're trying to get to the same result. What is the result? To close the sale. Well, as a scientist, you go, well, if you're trying to repeat the same result, it's a scientific experiment. If you just work backwards and you understand what the inputs are to the scientific experiment to get the output, boom, you're golden. You can scale anything.
Yeah.
And so I almost, just because of my scientific background, I always understood this is a numbers game. It's an experiment. It's science. I need this many numbers of this thing, let's say calls, to get this number of this thing, appointments, to get this number of this thing, agreements, which is this number of this thing, closings, and then money shows up in my bank account. How magical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, truly it is magic.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting that I just kind of blended that science part of my academic background to my pursuit of sales. And then once I knew how to game it better than anyone else, that was really what kind of lit my leadership juices.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't come with that sort of numbers orientation to sales.
Yeah.
They just have a gift of gab or whatever it might be that they bring to sales. And I said, hey, I can harness that, put some leadership and structure around it, which I do very well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've approached all of the business building roles that I've had.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I learned to play the long game with Buffett.
Okay.
I learned to play the long game.
Okay.
And here's kind of like the most fundamental example of playing the long game in Buffett's world.
Yeah.
All of the operating companies had to operate on a 10-year business plan.
Wow.
A 10-year business plan.
Yeah.
Would you agree that 98% of agents don't have a 10-minute business plan? They don't know what they're going to do in 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, we're still working on 2026. At least we're that far out. But yeah, 10-year.
But most agents, let's not talk about ourselves. We right?
Yeah.
Put a little ego hat on.
Yeah.
I know we do an exceptional job at placing this, which is one of the things I love most about it. But in our industry, most people don't know what they're doing 10 minutes from now in this business.
Yeah. It's the tail wagging the dog. So you had a 10-year business plan with Warren Buffett. I'm assuming he probably would have happily had you on longer as a CEO. You were doing a good job. 16,000 agents to 52.
Yeah, 55.
55. Who's counting? And in what time period?
That was from 16, pretty much 16. We got in there in 15, but pretty much 16 to 2019.
Okay. I just hope everybody is hearing this. You guys are hearing, we're talking to a guy who took a company that I'm assuming Warren Buffett had, it was a pretty valuable asset at the time in his portfolio. He cared about it a lot.
Yeah.
And tripled the size in basically less than 4 years.
Yeah.
Over tripled.
Oh yeah.
In an industry full of squirrel chasers.
That's right.
And shiny penny chasers that struggle to plan out in 10 minutes. No offense to myself and all the other real estate agents. We love you, but let's be real. We are notoriously late.
Yeah.
And honestly, our industry has had a real bad customer service rating in terms of the actual quantity of repeat clients, right? Actually returning to the agent. So you're working with this group of people. It's hard to corral. And we're going to talk a little bit about what is place and why you made that jump over to there. But do you have anything you want to share about how the heck you pulled that off?
Well, I think the first thing, and I've always been very focused on this, is twofold. Being relentlessly focused on your value proposition. What do you do better than your competition? What do you do that your competition doesn't do? And really focus on that, and one of my other mentors, Alan Dalton, always encouraged us to consider, you want to have a positional advantage. Are you the biggest? Are you the best? Do you sell the most? Do you have the largest team size, the largest market share? Those are positional advantages. And then a capabilities advantage. What can you deliver that's different? What are you capable of doing that's different than your competition? And so we really leaned into that. And then when you can figure out a very unique and compelling value proposition in the marketplace, then I think the other objective is focusing on making sure your salespeople, those that are out chartered with heralding that value proposition message, are more productive than their peers. So you focus on per salesperson productivity. And I've applied this now in franchise sales. I've applied it in brokerage recruitment and growth with real estate brokerages. I've applied it in mortgage. I applied it with technology before that. So it's an approach that is completely evergreen and completely unbeaten in terms of scaling the success and results of an organization.
Yeah. Evergreen. Shout out to Jacqueline Smith up there in Portland, our Evergreen
Yes, I'll
partners.
see her tomorrow.
Yeah, they're speaking of per agent productivity, those guys are kicking butt. God, I'm really humbled to be having this conversation with you, and we've got a lot of comments that are coming through from folks that are chatting, and so obviously you made a switch from a public company to a pre-IPO company.
Yeah.
And I'll do a little audience engagement here. Aaron did ask a question about, speaking of Wall Street, owning large portfolios of single-family homes, precluding many Americans from the dream of homeownership. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think if that trend expands, it could be something for us to pay attention to. However, I know many of the executives of these organizations, and right now, for the most part, you look in most of our communities, 25 to 30% of our housing stock is owned by investors. The overwhelming majority of those folks are small mom and pop investors, folks that own less than 4 units. So it's probably 80 to 85% of the 25% is owned by mom and pop investors.
Yeah.
Folks that have actually typically accumulated their own primary residences into a small rental pool.
Yeah.
The amount of inventory that's owned by these big, large institutions is low single digits of our overall housing stock. And for the most part, all of our big multifamily is owned by institutions. So it's just really a small little extension of the big institutions who already own a lot of multifamily doors to get into the single family asset. But I think that is much less of a problem than the regulatory headwinds that we have that prohibit us from creating more housing stock.
Yeah.
That is something that we as an industry need to be much more intentional about advocating for.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I want to make sure that we're all focused on the things that you talk about. Homelessness. It's a supply issue.
Yeah.
We just have not built enough homes in the last 30 years compared to the rise in the number of households in the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
We need to advocate for less regulation and more opportunity for builders.
Yeah. Amen to that. So hopefully some of them are listening right now,
including ourselves. Like,
yeah.
Hey, this is one of my other mantras. In order to do, we must first be.
Yeah.
See, a lot of us are unable to get our goals. We're not achieving the goals, the things that we want to do, because we're not being the people we need to be.
Mm.
In order to do, we must first be is what sort of inspired that quote, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, there's no one more capable than all of us as real estate professionals of creating more inventory.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis building.
Yeah.
Infill development, doing the things that we can do to help create the change that we want to see. We can't continue to sit back and wait for regulations or builders or institutions to create our opportunity. We need to go out there and take it to create it.
So when you think about being and you apply that to, the process of business building, this was one of the questions from our team. From your perspective, one of the most important elements in creating a culture that not only retains but truly attracts high caliber agents?
Yeah. Again, to me, that's a wonderful question. To me, when I see that, my mind initially goes to value proposition. What's your value? So what is your value to high caliber agents? In our opinion here at Place, it's what we're focused on, providing high caliber agents, reduce or eliminate the expenses associated with running a real estate business, help create more opportunity, in less time or the same opportunity. Maybe they're doing 18 deals. You're going to, hey, I'm going to give you opportunity to do the same 18 deals in half the time. And number 4, more opportunity outside of real estate, passive income, real estate investing, different ways of generating a lifestyle for yourself. So the moment I see questions like that, they're fabulous questions. I think we as business leaders need to look internally and go, well, if that's that's the customer that I want, what am I uniquely capable of delivering to them? That's my value prop, right? And the value prop for all scaling businesses is never static. It's never static. It's always growing, right? Once you think you know it all, your slide to mediocrity has already begun. You've got to operate as a leader, all of us, in the spirit of continuous improvement.
Yeah.
That's why it goes back. Never read your own press clippings. It just doesn't matter what we've done. We have more people to contribute to, and we have more to offer.
Yeah, that's really good. So you talk about place for the bystander that doesn't know a thing about it or has heard.
Sure.
Oh, I'm happy with my brokerage. I don't want to join another brokerage. What is place?
Yeah. Well, place today is a family of companies that provide a very robust suite of services to top producing real estate agents and top producing real estate teams. And really our belief is that the sophistication that's needed for the top producing agents and especially top producing teams, for the most part, quickly outpaces what their broker is able to provide to them. And of course, every broker has a different value proposition. And so I'm obviously recognizing I'm making a very broad statement, but to those top producing agents and teams that desire to have something that's a little bit more differentiated, more vertically integrated, where they can get all of their tech, all of their recruiting value proposition, their mortgage, title and settlement, and all the other home service related businesses that will operationalize on the Place platform, we provide that in an integrated package. And we do so, Tim, as you know, without the need for them to change their brokerage. So we want to be a friend of the broker community. We want all of these top producers to stay right where they're at with their broker of their choice. We are not a broker. We will not become a broker. And we want to help those brokers get better by virtue of helping the teams that subscribe to the Place operating system get better.
So, I mean, I've obviously had the case study of being here since December and being able to experience all the problems that I see everybody solve, within the brokerage solutions and trying to stack things together, and how Place has done it so brilliantly, like an operating system, where it's not just a stack of technology stack, but it's actually the manual and the process to run the plays and all the people along the way that are there to assist with every element of the process. It's the most brilliant business experience that I've ever had. Yeah. And I know I'm, comparatively, not making a statement about your age, a little newer to the game. I've been doing this for 12. You've been doing it for a little longer. But you did this at such a high level at Berkshire, and they had a similar vision. Can you help us unpack the decision to move from Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, working with some of the most brilliant minds, to jump in with Place?
Yeah, and I think it's really as simple as this. As a student of the industry and an operator within it, both, approaching it from both, right? Like an analytical because of my nature, as well as an operator in the weeds every day. And it's no surprise that the changing dynamics of the economics in the industry over the last 25 years is unmistakable. And what I'm specifically referencing is the fact that 90+% of the revenue that's generated within the industry goes to the top producing agents. 90% of the revenue goes to the agent level of the food chain. And most of that, and it's accelerating, is being concentrated around the top producers. And most of the top producers are forming in a team structure or expanding their existing team structure. So for me, that was sort of the segment of the industry that I wanted to go and work with. That's where I wanted to be focused.
Yeah.
It's not to discount the brokerages or anything like that. It's just that recognizing what's been happening, that's where I wanted to apply my own personal energy and passion and contribution.
And so you saw that place was the route to do that.
Yep.
Can you walk us through some of the behind the scenes of that conversation and ultimately
Yeah.
like what was that? How did Ben and Chris get this guy here?
Yeah. Well, it was funny. So Ben and I share a friendship with Debbie DeGroat. And Debbie DeGroat is a very renowned coach and leader within our industry. And she was a very significant contributor to one of the biggest coaching organizations in the industry. And so Debbie connected Ben and I. And Ben and I we just kind of played this cat and mouse game for a few years where, he was kind of, we were getting to know each other, and he was kind of getting to learn about what we were trying to build at Berkshire. And I was getting to learn about his organization, his brokerage, his team, his coaching organization, his technology platform. And I was really angling to buy his whole enterprise and just roll it all into Berkshire and kind of being an innovation and thought leadership hub for us. And then the business idea spawned, right? Like this whole idea of like really building an operating system for teams to leverage and scale on. And then he launched it right at COVID. He launched it in March of 2020. Of course, we were all trying to find our footing through that. But as he started to get some traction and really share with me the results, the business model, the economic model, I started talking to some of the people that were early on, operators at place, and getting to meet them. I said, man, these are just my people. I mean, this is just like, there's not a chance that I don't become, a part of this.
The idea to bring all things real estate into one place, real estate brokering, lending, title, escrow, insurance, property management, and then eventually home services.
Yeah.
It's the grand consolidation.
Yeah.
Who else do you see trying to do this right now?
I think, Compass with its acquisition of Anywhere, just adds to its scale. And of course, unmistakably Zillow's headed there, unmistakably Rocket with its Redfin acquisition and Mr. Cooper acquisition. And like any mature market, there will be a consolidation. There will be fewer players. There will be more market share concentrated around fewer, players. So there's room for all of us. There's room for many different competing models. But I think no one has the blend of the community and resonance with the top producing professionals and our own technology and our own unique set of executives and experiences to operate these other businesses at scale with a world-class execution.
Yeah.
Talking about mortgage and title and all the other businesses that will stand up, as well as we're not brokerage contingent.
Yeah.
We're not brokerage dependent. So a lot of these other models will play this perpetual game of musical chairs where people have got to pick up their entire teams and their entire book of business and move brokers. And we're not in that game. And so I think the combination of those, talking the language, we are operators ourselves, we own our own technology, we're focused on the top producers and helping them elevate and expand and insulate their value proposition, and doing so in a brokerage, neutral model. I just don't see anyone else really playing in our space.
So your bet is place wins the game.
Well, I think we win our share of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, look, hey, if it's 10% of the U.S. real estate market share in the next 5, 6, 7 years, I'll be very happy with that.
I love that. So when do you think it's going to go IPO?
When or at what price?
When and at what price?
Oh man,
Let's
you're
hear
really
it.
putting me on the hot seat.
100%. Yeah, we're just getting started, by the way. We still got 20 minutes.
I mean, look I think that if we can be in a position in the next couple of years, and I think a lot of it has to do with the market. What was the market? What's the appetite for IPOs? How are the other companies that are sort of in our space, our comps, if you will, trading? All of what's the housing market doing, right? Are we out of this trough that we've been in the last 3 years? And what does that look like? I mean, all of those things influence the timing, but I'd say the next 2 to 3 years. And man, hopefully we can be, a significant, value player with a B after the after the value with a B.
Okay, we're going for a B. We're going billion.
Significant B's.
Okay.
How about that?
I like billion. So right now, I mean, if we can talk under the hood candidly about the opportunity.
Yeah, just the two of us.
Yeah,
right?
just the two of us.
Sure.
You guys can tune this out. So I know right now we're buying stocks for less than $3 a share as place partners, right?
Yeah.
Already, and we were able to do that, and that's based on the valuation from 2019, right?
2021
or 2021. I'm sorry.
That's right.
So 2021, Goldman Sachs invests $100 million. They gave it a $1 billion valuation.
That's right.
So we already have one B.
Yeah.
How many Bs are you hoping that we're at by the time we, hit that PLAC ticker and ring the bell?
Look, I can only, I'm speaking purely for myself, what motivates me, what goes in my journal every morning. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's hear what Stu's journal.
I think, look, if we can get, in the next 2 to 3 years, 4 or 5 times what we were worth, 4 years ago, I think that'd be very, because that's, I think the important point, particularly for all of our place teammates out there watching this or will watch this in the future, the IPO is not the finish line.
Yeah.
And if I were to use that race analogy all the way through, to me, and early in my career, I graduated college in 95. I went right into the tech industry. I was in Silicon Valley in 98, 99. I was at Oracle until 2003 when we started a mortgage company. So I've seen hysteria around IPOs.
Yeah.
I've seen the good, the bad. I've seen the whole thing explode before many of you maybe were even born. Okay.
Yeah.
So anything can happen. All right. Anything can happen. But I believe that we're onto something that if we continue to execute could have, a meaningful opportunity. But the IPO is not the finish line. It's actually just the starting gate. It actually validates that you have something that might attract the interest and investment of people that are complete strangers to you in your model.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're taking the public's trust and investment in your business model and the results that you've proved to that point, but you're only taking that investment to do more with it.
Yeah.
So it's really not, to me, about what we look like when we IPO. It's really about the lasting value and legacy that we can create with this platform.
Yeah.
Can we truly impact home ownership?
Yeah.
Can we impact affordability? Can we impact the ease of management of home ownership? Can we impact the process by which people buy and sell their real estate? Can we impact and encourage more people to become homeowners? Like that, to me, is the lasting legacy and value that we're trying to create with Place. And look, if we can do that to the tune of having 10% market share, I think it's worth lots of Bs, dozens of Bs.
How many Bs is 10% market share worth?
I don't know. I think it'd be worth 100 Bs.
100 Bs. There we go.
That's what I put in my journal. So again, this is my own.
Oh, that's the number we were
own,
after.
This is just my opinion, my sheer ambition.
So Stu came in at 1B and he wants to leave at 100. And then what?
Oh man, I'll probably still have something to contribute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's not about my personal money. For me personally, it's just about contributing. Here's a really cool thing. My son's a senior at University of Arizona in Tucson.
Yeah.
So I encouraged him to get his real estate license earlier this year, which he did. And I said, hey, why don't you just rip the phones, join a team down in Tucson, just join a team, rip phones, get your teeth kicked in a few thousand times, go on a bunch of listing appointments, knock doors in an open house, 116 degrees in Tucson. And then, hey, when you graduate next year, at least you'll have some sales muscle. And you can apply that to whatever, potential job you might pursue. Or maybe you like this crazy business. You want to come work with me.
Yeah, I love that.
So my point there is, if something like that happens, it creates even more of an attachment, even more of a spirit of contribution.
Yeah.
Maybe create a legacy business. Our youngest daughter's a freshman at University of Utah studying design. I said, hey, we do some flips, do some apartment deals, do some affordable housing projects. You can do all the design work. So yeah, I mean, those are the sorts of things that inspire me. The money and the valuation and all of that. That's really just, to me, that's the lag measure. See, that's the thing. Whatever's in our bank account and whatever our company's worth and all the revenue that we generate, that's the lag measure. But I'm not a lag measure person.
Yeah.
I'm a lead measure person.
Nice.
That's the 4 disciplines of execution.
Yep.
You focus on the lead measures. To me, the lead measure is contribution.
Yeah.
It's growth. It's attracting more awesome people like you and cascading your awesomeness to the people like you've recruited here at Door. Right?
Well,
Like that's the contribution. Those are the numbers that I really care about.
well, I'm humbled you say that. So now is my chance to make my plug for our plan to solve homelessness, because we're working on one right now. So if our business can fulfill its vision, we'll create a model here locally that could be done in collaboration with the government and with grant money and with state money and with federal funding, whatever that's left, and actually solve homelessness of the body, which is its own multifaceted problem that they can't just be solved with structure. So we've got halfway homes. We've got something that we are a couple of organizations that we're passionate about giving to. One of them, my little sister works at right down the road from here, Jackson Street Youth Services. Shout out to you guys, who's been super involved with specifically homeless youth. That's a cause that matters to me. What's the cause that matters to you? What's your why? You know, beyond what you just shared about your family and the contribution you provided, Agent. If Chris Stewart leaves the planet and his fingerprint could have been fully impressed and the world was left better off for X reason, what do you hope that is?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like giving to the charitable organizations is I mean, to me, I wish I created more time, and I say I wish. I mean, I just need to be more intentional about creating more time of myself to give to the charitable organizations. But Place Gives is a big part of my focus. I also am a very big participant in various veterans charities that I give to and on a regular basis. And so, to me, the dollar contributions are one thing. Okay. And I need to be more intentional about creating more of my physical time for those organizations. So that's there. But really, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can do for the people around me. And I think that's one thing that we're losing in our culture is contributing to the people that are right around us, making sure that we're good, our children are good, our extended families are good, our in-laws are good, like making sure that everyone's good and encouraging a spirit of camaraderie and coachability. And to those people that want to get better and want to learn and grow and seek that, wisdom or insight and apply it in their own lives, that's really where I feel like I shine. Going on a stage or being, sort of a cameo at an event, and I've done all of those things. I just don't think that that's nearly as important as encouraging the people that already look to you as trust. With trust and as an advisor or a friend. And with respect to homelessness and some of the things that I see, challenging about our current culture is, I think we've got to get back to more of an acceptance of people got to get to work. We're there's a difference between resources and resourcefulness. And I don't know if you ever heard or saw that story of the guy almost on a whim. He had one red paper clip. And this is about probably 15, 20 years ago. You can look it up. The guy started with one red paper clip. And I forget the entire backstory, but it was on tough times. And he said, I need a home. And all I have is this one red paper clip. Is someone willing to trade me this so that I can get a home? And someone traded him for it. He got a keg of beer. Then he got a neon bar sign. Mm-hmm. And then he got a car. And then by that point, it had gone viral. Yeah. And it escalated all the way into a bona fide movie script.
Yeah.
That someone had written. Some famous Hollywood person kind of got in on the process. And he ended up trading for a home. He got a home. Yeah. And so the point of that is there's a difference between resources and resourcefulness, and we need to create a little bit more camaraderie, a little less loneliness and isolation, and a little bit more independence and resourcefulness to encourage people. Hey, we have, for the most part, many of our communities have the resources.
Yeah.
We need to encourage more resourcefulness.
Yeah. Amen to that. So I want to, before we wrap up, we're going to have to do a 2-part because we got more questions that we're going to have time to get to. So
Okay.
for those that are engaging,
Are there any great questions? Any fireballs?
Yeah. Let's see.
There?
Well, we've got to circle back around to Cielo's question. He wanted to know at least 1 or 2 things that you specifically learned from Warren Buffett. But I've got a few fireballs that I've been kind of holding in my back pocket here.
All right, let's do it.
I want to leave some calls to action, and some of my questions are specifically related to my friends in the side community.
Okay.
And this is speaking not to just another brokerage, but I mean, this is a network, one of the most, in my mind, cutting edge network of boutique brokerages that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that.
Side's a top 10 brokerage that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
They're actually the number 1 brokerage in California.
I love it.
Side brokers more deals in the state of California than any other brokerage.
That's fantastic. Congratulations to the Side team.
Yeah, through a network of boutique individually owned brands. And so there's this trend that we've seen of, especially in the luxury markets, people wanting to do business with boutique, wanting to kind of almost move away from corporate, for lack of a better word, and go hyper locally engaged, find the people that are engaged in making things happen in their areas. Part of the reason why I started Door. And I think it's a part of the reason for our success. When we think about Place, this big, what's going to be a player that's obviously working with big names, but it is a company that's gearing itself for a corporate IPO, right? And beyond. Yeah. It's gearing itself for 100 Bs.
Yep.
Right. If it goes your way.
Yep.
And I know Ben and Chris feel the same way about that. Or Ben is adamant that this company is going to create more millionaires than any other company. What's his claim?
Real estate.
In real estate. More millions than any other company in real estate, which is quite a claim. And I respect Ben and I trust him. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But for those that don't have the relationship that we've developed in our short time of knowing each other, or what I've been able to develop just watching Ben, that are looking at something that they own, right? And that with or without Side, I could still have Door. Yeah. It's my thing. Why would I bring in a big bad corporate into my boutique brand with all of its systems and processes?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing to create some understanding around is the teams that are powered by Place are completely empowered to determine what role Place has in the brand presentation, right? So we're completely indifferent to that. You want to have Place be very visible in your marketing and your branding and your yard signs, as an example, or whatever that is, that's fine. If it's more behind the scenes as a powered by part of your business model, that's fine too. And I while we're big, and we're focused on scale and creating an operating system that has massive market share, at the same time, I don't believe that we operate in a corporate culture. I do think that we're very intentional about having a community where there's no layers, there's no quote unquote chain of command. Myself and Ben and Chris are very accessible. We're very visible. We want to be, sleeves rolled up in the business, and that's just part of who we are, and all of the rest of the leadership team as well. So I just want to provide that distinction that we're definitely not corporate. I came from corporate, so I know.
Yeah,
for sure. And so here's then the way that I would answer the question. Well, why do I need Place? Or what benefit would Place create? And I think that it is this. Number one, because of all the experience that I've had in this industry and prior to this selling technology to multiple industries, consolidation is inevitable.
Yeah.
There will be a time when there are just simply fewer options, and that the customer always wins in every marketplace. The customers will demand for a different, better, faster, more tech-enabled, more integrated experience. And AI, I believe, will be a significant instigator in our agents' ability to become much more versatile in their skills, understanding how to access data, how to interpret it, how to translate it to the customers for their benefit, how to provide seeds of education and knowledge that empowers the next generation of buyers and sellers versus just standing at the trough waiting to find people who have already made a real estate decision and just trying to compete in that red ocean of all the other realtors who are clamoring at the same trough. Like, these things will happen. And so to any of the boutiques at Side who think about that future of the business and come to this conclusion, because I think here's the pivotal point. How long do you see yourself as the chief revenue officer as your business versus the chief executive officer of your business? And we really want to empower that, that evolution, that expansion, where I go from chief revenue officer, and maybe I'm still wearing both hats. I'm still the chief producer, head producer on the team, but I'm also migrating more to just the CEO hat, because the CEO hat means I have multiple elements of my business, multiple divisions, all working in harmony together to drive revenue and profit.
You've got a director of sales, you've got a director of operations, and you've got systems that drive those. You've got a culture around lead generation that can exist even if you're not generating inside of it.
That's right.
And you've also, this is a big part of us, you've got the ownership of the brand, but then you've got the ownership of the stock, and your people have ownership of the stock of the bigger option.
That's right. Exactly. And I'll give you a perfect metaphor or analogy. We are building for the real estate industry, for both real estate professionals and now lending professionals, the operating system that is equivalent to what Shopify as an operating system has built for small business merchants who need to sell their products online. That's it. And by the way, Shopify, I think, is worth 140 Bs.
Oh, there's a good model.
How about that?
And they're just selling stuff. We're selling the big things.
That's right.
We're selling the houses.
That's right.
So let's take this 2 more questions, then we'll wrap up. Unless a real banger comes down. This is your speak now or forever hold your peace. If you guys have stuff to put in the comments, we're in our final 5 minutes here. So, Chris, I just want to reiterate again my gratitude for your time,
of course,
your wisdom, your leadership, and I do want, as a part of a call to action, if someone felt inspired by wanting to see under the hood on your journal experience. Is that something that
we just reach out to me, Stu@place.com. I'm happy to share it.
I'm going to put how do you feel about me putting your email on a banner going across the thing here? So Stu@place.com. And can I be a little mini Stu if you share it with me and then someone like, wow, I like your thing that you're copying from Stu. Can I also propagate your journal? All right. So if you want to, guys, look at this. You can email Stu for his journal. If you've got some questions, whether you're with the side organization like our brokerage is, or you're in any brokerage, or you're a lender that's wanting to look at grafting into this platform, or you're a title officer or an insurance agent that was curious about being a part of this big family of companies, and you want to talk to the El Presidente CEO himself, he just gave all of y'all his email. It's just going to be across the ticker on the bottom here. Pretty easy to remember too.
I love it.
How do you feel about your email blowing
Totally.
up?
I'm in, man. Hey, spirit of contribution.
Yeah, I really appreciate your willingness to share. So that's amazing. That's worth the price of entry today, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get one takeaway from Warren Buffett, but I want to go back to this point of interdependence that I know you're passionate about, the fully evolved person that Stephen Covey preached about, that moves from the dependence through independence into interdependence. And think about specifically our local solo agents that have kind of their own thing. Their brokerage is just like, I hear this all the time. I like my brokerage. They leave me alone, right? They let me do what I want. I don't have to follow these systems or processes. And yet those same people also want to grow, want to have something to show for their business beyond just the money from signs in the yard. They want to have stock. They want to have things like health insurance and benefits, and they don't want to be alone. What would you say to the solo agent watching this right now who highly values their independence, but is maybe a little bit curious about what they might be missing out on being in an interdependent culture.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the frameworks that have helped guide my leadership and my approach to business building, I call it my 4 C's framework.
We like C's.
Yeah. And the 4 C's are: think critically. We have to be critical of ourselves, which really means being honest. Okay. Number 2 is commitment. 3 is certainty, and 4 is contribution. And so, to the solo agents that I see out there, and I've been around them my whole entire life, again, when you think you know it all, your slide to mediocrity has already begun.
Mm.
And when I say think critically, I think that for the most part, all of us are aware of what we're not doing. You know what you're not doing. You know what you should be doing, but you're not doing. And so then I would challenge the second commitment, because see, if we're only interested in something, we're only ever going to do only what's convenient. So you say, Tim, I'm interested in a success in real estate. Well, Tim, I'm interested in being financially independent. Well, Tim, I'm interested in owning real estate property and creating passive income. Well, that's just it. You're not thinking critically, or you're lying to yourself because you know what you need to be doing to achieve all of those things, or you're not committed. Then that leads me to my 3rd C. Let's assume that you are thinking critically. I know what I need to be doing more, and I'm going to commit to doing it. Then are you certain? Are you certain about the things that you're doing, the activities that you're performing, the quality and substance of your marketing, how you're following up with your clients? What are you saying? How are you working with trusted partners like your lending partner to actually add value and nurture your pipeline so you increase your conversion rates? Okay. All of these things are so interplayed. And when I look out there at the people wallowing in this industry, I just really believe that it's always a reflection of those 3 things. And let's say you got all 3 of those things perfectly right, and you're still wallowing in that mediocrity. Then I think the 4th C is contribution. To whom am I contributing?
Mm.
If I achieve these goals that I have in my real estate career, who's the obviously that the charger.
Well, that's all right. Look at this. Don't worry, we're still here. So I don't want to end it that way. So guys, we're going to pull Chris on here in a moment. Please bear with us as I work through some technical difficulties. I'm going to pull up some of our folks backstage. You guys want to share some takeaways on this call with Chris so far? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear us? All right, Alex, I'm putting you on the spot. Takeaway. Number 1 takeaway from the call.
Well, I have the advantage. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have the advantage of listening to Stu now 2 times in a row. And the second time, which is the one he just did right now with you, what hit me again was his 4 D's of discipline, which is from a book. I forgot what the name of the book is.
4 Disciplines of Execution by
4 Disciplines of Execution. Which for me, the accountability part is fantastic because I'm in the lending side. And then keeping the tracking to 3 or 4 items, and that's it. I heard him say that 2.5 hours ago, and he touched on it a little bit right now with you and with us here. And that was like a big aha for me again. But I've taken so many notes from him in the 2-3 hours collectively that I've heard him that I could just talk for a while about everything that he's sharing. It's all nuggets.
And you're on the Envoy side, right? So obviously we've got some of our agents there, but you're on the lending side, and you've got to see a unique window into that part of the business. You've been at other lending organizations. What's been your experience working with Stu on the lending side? If there's a lender watching this right now, and this is great because he's sitting next to me. So you can't say anything too negative. But I know you, Alex, you're ready to keep it real. So what's it actually like with Stu at Envoy?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it straight. I'm a straight shooter for sure. I've been in the lending side for 23 years. I worked for 6 companies in 23 years. This is my 7th company. I've never had an opportunity like I do now, where the agent side is connected to the lending side as deep as it is here. So for me as a lender, my job is to get a loan from the start line to the finish line, not as fast as possible, as best as possible, with as least bumpy roads in the middle as I can possibly avoid sharing with everybody involved. Because there's a lot of bumps involved. I don't think people understand how hard it is to get a loan from the beginning to the end closed. I think we do a good job of hiding all the bumps. There's a lot of them. So that's my ultimate job, is to make my realtors' clients fulfill their dreams of home ownership, whatever that is, first-time buyer, investor, etc. But at the end of the day, I realize, being in the business as long as I have been, that my agent partners, their clients is everything for them. So I'm an extension of them. And this is the first time in 23 years of me being in the industry where the connection between the real estate side and the lending side, it's so like apparent, it's so there. I was just on the road with Stu right now with another operating team that we work with, and then obviously I'm in here, and it's just a family here. You know how you guys have taken me in, and how accountable that we need to be. And this is what Stu shared. This is what I got from Stu as well, as how important being accountable is to the daily activities and the numbers and the weekly cadences. I've heard it because I've heard him on the phone and via Zoom, but seeing him live in action, how important the cadences and accountability is. So, I mean, I'm super excited and grateful to be here. We can't hear you, just so you know, Tim.
Bear with us on technical difficulties. Can you hear me through the
Yeah, we can hear you now. You just came on right now.
Okay, so we're just to the laptop. So we're going to wrap it, guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously, you've got Stu's email across the bottom there, and you guys can send those out. We'll have to do a part 2 to talk about unpack this Envoy thing, because I think that's a whole other can of worms. But you've got the shirt there. Appreciate you guys watching. Vlad's interested in a journal, right?
Shoot me an email, Vlad.
Yeah.
StuartPlace.com.
And also, Julia wanted to say, I'm just going to pull up her comment over here from the Philippines. They've got some high weather right now, some high winds, but she wanted to say, thank you for your story, Chris. I love how you honor your mom so much, inspiring to see the values that she instilled and you shine through your journey.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we're going to bring it home with a question from Mr. Matt Frosland over in Central Oregon, who's working on his real estate license right now, actually, as we speak. A nice little lighthearted one. If place were a sports team, what would the mascot be? And would you make your agents run sprints at practice?
Oh, heck yeah. Sprints 100%. 100%. What would the mascot be? You know what, Matt? Unfortunately, I grew up in Dallas. I'm a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan. So we would bring the star on the helmet. We would bring the Cowboys back to prominence, back to respectability, back to a winning culture, and not a marketing culture, a results culture. We'd be the Cowboys. We'd run sprints every day, Matt.
Oh my God. Well, I think we had just about everyone on board ready to join Place. I think we lost a few after that. But
exactly.
I appreciate you again. So thank you so much for your time, Stu.
Yeah, you bet.
Truly, that much respect for you, brother.
Thank you.
And everybody, if you enjoyed this show, please, comment, subscribe, share, all the things. We appreciate your guys' support. If you want to reach out to Stu, you've got his email on the bottom, stu@place.com. He'd love to talk to you. I'd love to talk to you. If you're someone locally that wants to engage more in this conversation about not just a boutique brand like we offer through Side, but also having a business powered by something so revolutionary in our industry that it could end up in the triple B category at one time in the not too distant future. let's talk. Thank you guys. Again, I'm your host, Tim Rist, here with Door to help you find your people and find your place.